Well, hey there, everyone. Welcome back to another day of The Rookie and the Master, day 2.
Good afternoon, Ryan.
Yes, good afternoon, Gene. Day 1 was pretty successful, I think. We hit a few snags, but...
It was. Give us time to evolve the product.
Iron out the details of it.
Somebody asked after viewing last night what I was referring to with what I was doing in television years ago. So today we're doing it in front of a screen. So that's what I started, which is what morphed in. I didn't start CNBC. That was GE, now Comcast, NBC Universal. But I pioneered this stuff in Los Angeles. No money, just pioneered it, black and white, then color. And that's what we were talking about partially yesterday. And we talked about Florida insurance, and I want to make a comment on that. But also we talked about the CPI number, about inflation, which affects all of us, whether you're in the stock market or not.
Right.
And my prediction was that it would be softer and that it's been going down and that the Fed, as usual, is slow and tardy in fighting the last war by keeping rates too high. They now, the number came in at under 0.3, and that's what I wanted to see. And the stock market is soaring, and it's pulling back at midday and then coming up again, which is what I wanted. And as we're recording this, which happens to be, what day is this? Wednesday.
The 12th.
The 12th, at 2 in the afternoon. The Beige Book came out, which is a survey when this was part of rookie teaching.
Yes.
There are 12 regional Federal Reserve banks in the United States. Here in Florida, we are under the Atlanta Fed. And of the 12 banks, almost all saw modest expansions of business activity, but almost all reported lower price levels, which is what you want to see. Now, I don't know if that's sustainable given the intense heat that we have in so much of the country, not just the South.
Not just Florida.
No. But we'll see. And at the moment, that holds the Fed off. And probably they should pause. I mean, they'll probably talk. They're not going to admit mission accomplished, we're done. They're never going to say that.
Right.
So, but it probably tells you in advance now that later this month at their next meeting, they won't do anything, is my prediction.
Oh, the prediction has been set.
So we'll see. And the stock market is fine, but it's going to contract. You have to, I've been saying for some time, may have mentioned it yesterday, that the small stocks need to perk up because the big stocks that we're going to talk about, Meta, Microsoft, Google, they're all very expensive.
Right.
It's not bargain day. You're certainly not getting in early in the game if you buy now. That's different than saying if you hold them, you can keep them. I've said that about Apple for years.
Yeah.
But that's different than saying chasing the price higher. So I don't know how you feel about that, but my attitude is you take the small stocks and you don't bet and get emotionally involved with just one. You buy an assortment, a sprinkling of half a dozen.
Yeah, and you taught me that a few months ago.
Yeah, and if one or two are home runs, that doesn't matter what the rest of them do.
Right.
Hopefully more than one or two work out. But if not...
That's the hope, the prayer.
In social media, it's not like EVs or AI where there's going to be clear winners and losers. Social media, you tell me. I think that there's... it's absolutely dominated by these gargantuan companies that...
And the faces that they choose to, put out there. Like our Zuckerbergs and our Elons.
So let's look at the evolution of that. Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Well, the young guy in Palos Verdes, his dad was a lawyer, the family had money, who started Snapchat. I don't remember his name offhand. And Zuckerberg flew to him. The mountain went to Mohammed. And offered him $2 billion for Snapchat. And he didn't take it. And everybody thought he was a fool, including myself. So now, where is Snapchat at this point? We don't hear anything about them.
No, I mean, they constantly release new features. They're always releasing new filters and, new features on their app. I actually have some stock in Snapchat, and I'm pretty sure they're up today. I think they were up yesterday as well. Let me just check real quick. But as far as
Snapchat, you think I only get tips from my personal trainer at the gym?
Snapchat actually... I can't log into my Robinhood right now. It's not logged in by itself. But, I mean, personally, I'm not a huge advocate for Snapchat. but a lot of Gen Z uses it. A lot of the younger generation still latches onto it, at least from what I've seen.
So, what part of what Zuckerberg did, whether in Facebook or Instagram, is actually knocking off copy paste
Of
of Snapchat? He couldn't buy them,
Yeah,
so he duplicates them.
I haven't really even.
And I didn't. And there's no litigation.
I mean, you could say that Instagram has, I guess, grabbed filters and things like that. They've capitalized off their filter program that they have and stuff. I wouldn't say that they've particularly stolen anything from Snapchat. Snapchat has had a really good time, I think, maintaining its own place.
Quick videos back and forth.
Yeah, and people just love just taking the streak and having their friend, respond to them. It's very quick. But there's been no other social media that's even really gotten into that aspect of. I mean, Instagram has taken like little things like you can hide messages or do an invisibility or have like the little bomb that you can only see a photo once, which is the ghost for Snapchat. You can only see a message once.
The reason I ask is because aside of Snapchat, most other social media platforms that tried to take on Zuckerberg or now more recently Elon, most of them have failed or faltered.
Yeah, and Snapchat hasn't. Snapchat's sustained itself pretty well. I can't foresee. I don't personally see where the growth will come from within Snapchat. I don't know what they're going to do next. There are new features. They're just constantly releasing new video
Get acquired
features
for $10 billion instead of $2 billion.
I mean, that could be. It could have been a long run, a long game instead of just selling it right out. They thought their idea might have a little more to unpack before selling it.
See, I look at little companies. People ask me why I own a stock like SoundHound, which would say, well, that's not social media, which is our topic. Yes, but in a sense, it could be transformed. AI will come to social media, and a company like that, even though they're focused on automobiles and secondarily restaurants, fast food, and so on, for generative voice command AI. That seems to me a company that gets acquired. And I think they can make money. They have a $300 million backlog, but there's a big short position because people are skeptical. And shorts can either pound the stock down, but when something comes right for a company, that's how you can get a short squeeze. If you looked at GameStop, which was a nothing company, really. Or you look at AMC Theaters, which were the meme stocks that ran.
That just rallied.
Right. What was it because they really had that much going for them? Or there was a big short position, which provided fuel? Because if you own a stock and it goes down, you can leave it alone, like I'm doing with LifePath, and see if one of these days it works out.
Right.
But if you're short, betting on the downside, there's no limit to how much you can lose. This is, I believe, in fact, we should mention the stock market in this regard. This does correlate to the Metas and to the Teslas of the world because so many people are chasing them now by thinking they're too overpriced and then they short them. That's what's holding them up because every time you get a rally, today's a good example, the shorts are nervous and they are easily spooked. And they come out of part of their position. And by the way, there's a reason that I mentioned AI, not just because of SoundHound, though it is a stock I'm watching and suspect will get very closely. Today, Elon Musk named his overall effort, and he's calling it, oh my God, what did he call it? XAI.
XAI.
Like SpaceX.
Yeah. So he's getting his toe.
Dipping his toes into AI. You have an IPO coming for some of his aspects that are outside of Tesla.
Right.
I don't know how he'll bundle it all together. Tesla is certainly bundled with his solar and battery efforts. But it's going to be interesting because if that becomes an IPO one day, it'll be a hot one. One of the things I realize neither one of us has answers to all of this because the idea is, and I had one of my friends and longtime readers of my work in Germany, I actually mentioned it to you, said he really likes our doing comments online during the market, such as I'm doing on Twitter now, because it's real time and gives you an assessment of what's going on now,
Right.
as opposed to reflective and retroactive. When the Wall Street Journal writes about it, it's yesterday's news,
Right.
effectively.
Right.
And yesterday we
Like
did
the aftermath of it all.
well, we did our first podcast
Yeah, like yesterday.
yesterday and talked about the lower CPI. So we were trying to look ahead.
And we did. And for the most part, I'm glad you touched base on that, because for the most part, we got it out on Twitter. We tried to get it out on YouTube. But on YouTube, I never knew this before. I don't know if this is a new thing. Comment below if it is new, but I used to be able to upload videos that were over 15 minutes.
So did I.
But now, if it's over 15 minutes, like our video yesterday it was 31 minutes, I think. It was like 30 minutes.
Really?
It was like 30.30 or something.
I wouldn't post it either.
But now, if you don't have a verification on YouTube, you can't post a video that's longer than 15 minutes. And so it stopped us from posting it on YouTube. And so we were discussing that all of these social media, they all want this new trend of subscription services.
Verifications and subscriptions.
Exactly. We're going to verify you, and that will give you more luxuries for the app. But we also have subscription services that are offered via each platform as well.
And so far, speaking of the platforms, from what I can tell, Threads is not offering many perks if you get verified.
No, it's not. All it's doing is taking the verification from your Instagram and adding it to your Threads, because Instagram, like we were discussing yesterday, is an app almost within another app, where they are separate on paper, essentially, but they are within each other.
Ryan, save our viewers some money. We're going to pay them indirectly for viewing this today instead of taking money.
We're going to pay you.
We're going to pay you because you're going to tell them if they want to get verified on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, how to do it and save a few bucks.
Oh, we are? We're going to tell them?
You're going to tell them.
I'm going to tell them. All right. So in order to save a few dollars on Instagram or even Twitter, you can go to the web browser instead of...
Don't do it on your phone.
Right. Don't do it on your phone at all. And why?
Well, first of all, you'll say, well, Threads is only an app. You can't do it. But yes, but if you do it on Instagram or Meta, what do they call it? Their hub center?
Yeah, it's Meta. If you go to their...
If you do it on Meta, it will verify it across your various products you're using with one fee. Mm-hmm. But that fee is lower if you do it online. Mm-hmm. It's like
$11.99,
which is still high.
It's $11 or $11.99, I think,
or
instead of $14.99,
or $120 a month instead of $140 or something like that.
I thought it was $84.
84 is Twitter.
Okay.
84 is Twitter online versus
and that's $8 a month. Was that what Zuckerberg? I mean, that's what.
Yeah, if you do it online on a computer. Or a web browser, do not do it.
Don't do it on your phone.
On your iPhone or your Samsung, because they're going to pay the Apple tax or the Google tax.
Yeah, and it is a real thing. I just tested it this morning, but yeah, Meta is $11.99, I believe, instead of $14.99.
Yeah, and if you're a casual user or you're just following and I know there's some people that they signed up to my @StockSeer on Twitter just to see my stock market comments, and they don't do anything else with it. They don't need to bother spending. You don't need to give Elon any more money or Zuckerberg any more money. Just don't worry about it.
Yeah, they don't need any more money. So take it and go to the web browser. Go to your computer.
But if you're a creative artist and entertainer like this guy, you might want to consider it.
Maybe. Oh yeah, you should definitely get the verifications for sure. But you should also take the advice and go on a web browser instead of the app.
But I see, because on Twitter, I don't think you can do it otherwise. I can put a link. I can attach a video if I want to give a sample of what I'm doing at nighttime to my subscription members on my website.
Right.
And by the way, I got a note from one guy saying, you want to charge eventually for your stock market service. Gee, I've been doing that for 50 years.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? but I don't charge a lot, and I haven't changed price in decades. But that's not the point. He actually said, I can't believe this, and now the Washington Post and New York
and
wants me to
Bloomberg,
pay, and
yeah.
Bloomberg. Excuse me, but how, just because it's digital, and I don't have to pay my printer like I did originally to
Right.
run me several thousand 4-page, 11 by 17, folded in half, tri-folded, and that's how you get a letter size envelope. I pulled this out of my head, 11 by 17.
I mean, you did it a lot.
Because how would I know this?
Right.
And going back and forth to the printer and the post office and so on. Digital enabled me to have more frequency, more timely, and lower operating costs, but without raising prices in 30 years.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And same thing. The New York Times has to pay the reporters.
Right.
They have to pay rent for their office space. There are still costs.
There's still
So I
expenses.
disagree with the gentleman who said that.
Of course. Yeah.
But you said who described this as the way life is going? That
Oh yeah, this is just well, I was saying the World Economic Forum put out something probably about a year, maybe 2 years ago, where they said that you would rent everything in the future and you would be happy. And I believe that this whole, this push towards subscription services, not just within social medias, but also within all of our, cable and, cable going essentially over to Disney Plus and Hulu and, all those subscriptions. Everything is just taking a piece of that pie that we were discussing yesterday. And all these subscription services are just now the new norm. And so you're essentially going to have to pick and choose eventually.
candidly, I expect a lot of consolidation.
Yeah.
You've had some. You had Discovery, HBO, CNN,
With Warner.
basically spun off from AT&T, which
Right.
did own it. But AT&T owns 70% of the new company.
Of Discovery,
yes.
of Warner.
Yes.
Wow.
Now that's how they sorted that out.
Right.
But I think there's going to be more of that.
Of course.
There has to be. And I wonder how this is going. In other words, it's too fragmented. It's almost like the pizza pie we talked about yesterday.
Yeah.
If too many people, big pie, but if too many people are taking a slice, there's not much. You don't get to eat much.
Yeah.
What's the average family going to spend on
What was
home
your
entertainment?
What was your cable bill?
I don't have one. I'm streaming.
Well, that's what I mean. But what was our cable bills? Back in
$100 a month.
right. So I would say it would be. I mean, people I don't even think are willing to pay that much now.
Well, mine is 78, but that's because I'm grandfathered from the beginning of what was called AT&T TV Now, which is now it's DirecTV Stream, which is the only one that gives you regional sports, all the news channels, and CNBC and Bloomberg. So there, since we're showing them in the background, I'll give them a commercial.
Yeah.
And if you're more conservative, I could put Fox on.
What would you guys like? Let us know in the comment section below.
And if you watch Fox, say hi to Stu Varney. I gave him his first job on television.
I remember you telling me that.
In San Francisco a century ago.
Wow.
And he's still on.
A century ago.
I disengaged. He's a good guy. But in any event, we actually passed our allotted time, so I don't know what we do about that. What do we do about that?
I was going to ask now I didn't know how to approach this because we were approaching the 15-minute mark.
Tell me to shut up.
No, that's okay. I was like,
see you tomorrow.
All right, see you guys. I don't mind continuing to go. And breaking it into two segments on YouTube.
That's an idea.
But we could cap it here and then cut off the last 3 minutes and then just put that out. It really
to be assessed.
To be assessed, yeah. I mean, this is definitely a trial and error, and I'm glad that you guys, that are tuning in, are watching kind of this process because, nothing ever. When you're starting a new venture, it doesn't just come out, refined and a beautiful
Well, let's put it
diamond.
this way: if we're not sure how this is going to evolve, let's consider that Musk and Elon, with billions of dollars more than we have ever dreamed of. Maybe I dreamt.
I dream of it.
But they don't know how it's going to sort out.
No, I guarantee
they're
they're
sparring.
figuring it out. Yeah.
I think it's stupid for them to do a cage fight, but you probably think they should. I don't think they should.
I think it's just publicity. I don't think it's real. I mean, to be honest with you, if they were to do a cage fight, if we're just being on. I train at the Jungle MMA gym. I love those guys, so I'm going to plug them. And just speaking from someone that has been doing this for a little
Bodyguard.
bit, I will say Mark Zuckerberg is in a much better position, being shorter than Musk and having actively training. I mean, he's doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I assume he's probably doing some Muay Thai as well, or some other forms of mixed martial arts. But I mean, if Musk isn't doing anything, and Zuckerberg is, if they do have a cage fight, I don't think it'll go well for Elon, no matter how tall or
And he could fall and get a concussion, and whatever you think of Elon, he is a brilliant engineer, scientist, whatever you want to call him. And I'd rather that his head not be messed with.
Yeah,
I really
don't think,
care
I don't think they're
about how many babies he's making,
Yeah.
or
what he's naming them, or what letters and.
I don't care, and I don't care about his political views. I do care that he thought there's too much censorship in some areas.
Yeah.
And I do too, but I also think there's some censorship that shouldn't be there in some areas. But I guess that's a whole separate podcast.
Yeah, that's another 30
Stay
minute
tuned
right
for
there.
that topic. But so for now, as far as how this sorts out, there's a lot to be developed with Twitter. And I think my final comment of the day on this topic would be, on Threads, there's a lot to be developed.
Of course.
I'm old. I misspeak. One analyst this morning made a comment. I'd like your reflection on it, and I think this will be my last thought of the day.
Okay.
And he said, look at the number of people, and you know what we discussed yesterday, how they're leveraging your people you're following and inviting when you sign up on Threads. He said, Elon's problem is the fate of Twitter is worse than death.
I saw that.
It's irrelevance.
It's irrelevance, and I just disagree. I disagree wholeheartedly with that. Do you as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And you explain.
I just disagree with it. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, where I don't believe that when a person downloads an app, they get rid of another one. Typically people have invested time, they've invested resource into these platforms. Influencers, people that are just viewing, they've spent years on these platforms, and so they're not just going to throw them out the window because a new one has arrived. They're definitely enjoying the tit for tat. I guarantee you, the Twitter users and the Thread users but they're completely different platforms, and I think the best approach that we can take moving forward with this type of thing is to view them as two separate platforms, and to understand that Twitter has been used as a news source for years. It was even live streaming. They used Periscope for news sources, for reporters and for anchors online. And Twitter has always been a space for the news, for entertainment and that type of thing. And I don't think that is going to go away. I think Threads is just going to become a social media hub. It's going to be where people go to talk to their friends, where they go to talk and just kind of have fun.
It's not really messages, don't they?
They haven't added them yet, but I think that they will.
It has to show up.
I think that a lot of those things, though, that you don't have to add them first, because we still have this bot issue. And bots get into your DMs, bots get into all kinds of stuff.
So why can't you link your message capability, or can you, from Instagram to Threads? Because why should I have to log out of Threads if I want to send you a private message? Why should I have to log out of Threads and log into Instagram in order to send you a message through their group of products? At the moment, that's what you have to do.
Because you don't have any DMs.
Unless I'm missing something.
I don't think that you'll have to do that in the future when they do add the DMs.
At the moment, you do.
Right, because there's no DMs. But yeah.
So
there's definitely improvements that are going to be made. I think Zuckerberg was getting the app out. He kind of wanted to just see what was going to happen and throw something to the wall. And
I think he has a way to do that, because he's got the hub. Why can't the hub allow essentially using the software's there, which is Messenger? I think, and I'm sure Instagram is basically built on those basic algorithms to structure it. And I don't see why they can't take this hub and expand it to
it's exactly
make it more inclusive.
It's the reason, I would say, is because of what we're doing right now. All the things that Threads lacks, we're going to discuss. We're going to talk about. We're going to discuss the new feature, and then they're going to release it little by little. And what it is it's like putting cheese out for you little at a time. It's getting you to constantly discuss it, and then walk a little bit further and grab it and keep and not get bored with it. If I gave you everything all at once, well, then you'd have it, and then I compare it to Twitter immediately. But if there's constantly new features being developed and coming out, well, then I have this insatiable appetite for it.
I've seen people at buffets on cruise ships doing that.
Boy, do they ever. Yeah.
So we're going to cruise right along.
Yeah.
I'll let you wrap it up.
Well, I just want to encourage everybody and tell everybody also that we just released the Rookie and the Masters Instagram, the Rookie and the Masters Twitter, the Rookie and the Masters Threads. We have our own YouTube channel, and so you'll start seeing these videos kind of just circulating and trickling through all these platforms. We definitely welcome any of the follows, any of the engagement, the DMs, the comments, and we're definitely checking and looking at those every day. And until next time,
I'm the rookie. At least when it comes to mixed martial arts.
Touche. And I am the rookie for everything else.
Good afternoon. Thanks for watching.
Bye, everyone.